Hey guys, this is Growth Beast, co-founder of Growth Stories, the first on-chain marketing newsletter in this space, and welcome to another edition of our marketing minicast. Today we're here with Marie Tatibouet, former Git.io CMO and current marketing lead in Metis. Marie, welcome to our minicast.
Thanks so much, Alex, for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your experience at Gate. How it was when you joined versus, how it is when you left. That's pretty exciting.
Sure. I was living out in China for 6 years, and I had my own marketing agency, working with technology companies. Worked with a couple of projects from the ICO days. So that's kind of how I got my initial exposure into the crypto space. And then I did a marketing strategy for the Gate.io CEO, Han Lin. And he loved it, and he asked me to be his CMO and execute it because it's great to have a strategy, but you also really need to go and execute it, right? So I said yes. I was really excited because Gate was already pretty big in China, but they had not taken things to the next level on an international basis. In fact, a lot of the other famous Chinese exchanges also had not. So there was a lot of work to be done. And with my unique understanding of how Chinese companies can work and performing at China speed, which is, I mean, in Web3, I think we all work about 3 times as fast as in the regular world. And when you're working in Web3 at China speed, it's like maybe 5 times as fast. We worked on, really pushing the brand name out. We worked on opening new markets. We worked on a lot of co-marketing, launching all of the newest projects on the exchange. Solana, for example, Gate was one of the first exchanges to list Solana. I still remember getting the airdrop and it multiplying by 3,000%, cursing myself for not having invested $100. But what are you gonna do? It was quite a journey.
Yeah, 3,000%. That reminds me of the DGen days in January. It actually went about 3,600%. I DCA'd, but that would have been nice to find. You took Gate from I'd say reasonably obscure place at that time, right, globally, to one of the most recognizable exchanges today. What are the top 3 things that made the biggest impact?
One of the biggest things, and in particular for exchanges, but I think with any project in the crypto space, is everything is about partnerships. So you need to go and find other companies, projects, entities that are going to be complementary to yours and work on some integrations together on the technical end, on the business end, and then also reflect that on the marketing end. My way of doing things is to go and do all of the work and then push it to them and just tell them to go and post it, because I think a lot of founders, especially because as part of the exchange, we have the resources to do that. You don't always have the resources to do that when you're a project working on lots of different things. If you do, I think it's the best way, because then you get to shape the narrative of your partnership and you get to ensure that everything gets posted around the times that you want it to. And that's really important, because otherwise things can kind of only exist in your Telegram group whilst you're waiting for it to happen. So it's kind of important to take charge. That was definitely one of the biggest things.
Turning to your current role now, how do you approach growth at Metis? I'm sure it's pretty different from Gate.
It is different in the sense that obviously as infrastructure project is kind of different. There's definitely a lot of synergy between BD and marketing, as like I just kind of said, is very common in Web3, but definitely for layer 2 or layer 1. This is very, very much the case, because some of your partners are going to bring volume. Some of them are going to bring branding purposes. Some of them are going to bring users. And so you have to know which one they're going to bring, know which one you want to push forward to be able to bring another one in, and all of that sort of stuff. So I really deal with the BDs and the technical team as well a lot at Metis. And it's really exciting for me because then you get to see like the whole company piece, right? Not just the marketing side. And that's a really enriching experience. So I work on the decentralized sequencer part at Metis. We really are trying to create a decentralized layer too.
How is growth for a network? What do you think is different than growing, let's say, a DeFi protocol or a GameFi protocol or even an FTFi one?
It is much more complex because you have to see like, and that's why I love my job so much. You have to really see all of the different angles that are happening now that are going to happen later so that you can select some quality projects that are going to help your continued growth. That's one of the things that's really exciting. And if you're lucky, you also get to shape narratives. And that's really exciting. Like I said, I think the decentralized sequencers is really important. And I do definitely want Metis to shape that narrative as well. But you have to shape it at the time that is the most opportune. So you have to see when the market, and that's why we're always in touch with journalists and KOLs and stuff like that to see, okay, what are people talking about now? What are they interested in? And then you kind of try and push the narrative that way, push maybe some of your product in that way, push some of the projects that you're providing grants to in that way.
When it comes to growth for the network, what campaigns would you say are the most effective?
I would say campaigns that really bring different partners together are usually going to do the best. Then you have a wider reach. We're launching a campaign called like Metis Voyage, and we have 4 different partners that are joining. They're already relatively well established, and you're going to be able to join on several different quests, and then you'll be able to earn some tokens with a pool, et cetera, et cetera. So this typically works really well. But we're also working on other campaigns with larger organizations like big exchanges and huge projects. We recently integrated with CCIP integration. So that's with Link. Um, and obviously, reaching like those kind of communities is huge, right? Because then you are able to provide their communities with value. It's always about value creation.
That's probably at the core of every campaign. And speaking of successful campaigns, what metrics do you generally employ, or what are some KPIs that you'd love every Web3 marketing department to implement?
You really have to check while it's being created, while it's being funded, transactions being made. TVL is kind of a trickier one. We're in touch with some of these trackers like L2Beat or DeFi Llama, and their data is not always very exact. Obviously, you can see on your end how much TVL is being generated, but you can't always trust what's out there. Of course, then there's some of the more typical Web 2 kind of metrics, which is page visits and clicks and conversions and things like that. And those are also important. Obviously, the final conversion is really wallet creation, transactions, holding. And then for entity such as our own voters for our DAO, right? I would say that's like the holy grail of conversion.
Right. Oh, I've never thought about the voters. Like I recently wrote a piece on a lot of Web3 metrics and how they perform for things like, wallet lifetime value, like collection rate. Not a big fan of TVL just because it's subjective. But yeah, voters, I'll include that. I'll definitely write another piece and include that.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it means like they're so committed, right? That they have bought Metis and they are using it for not just for speculation, but because they really believe in the ecosystem and they want to make it a better one. That's like, those are definitely some of our users that we hold most dear.
And when it comes to challenges, what do you think is the biggest challenge in growing a protocol currently?
Ours or generally?
I'd say generally, maybe, since you're in touch with so many the network level, with your experience, maybe, what do you think that might be?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of promises that have been made about how Web3 is going to change the world, and a lot of those promises have not yet been fulfilled. And AI also came on board. Web3 was kind of like the darling of the asset classes and the latest technology. And AI has kind of come to replace Web3 for now in the last year or so. So now we have to deliver. And I am seeing a lot more applications that don't involve massive speculation more recently. And I was much more skeptical before, but now I really do think like Web 2.5 is actually the sweet spot. Not for infrastructure, of course, but for usage, for application. Uh, it's we have to check existing businesses and help them transition over, and not everything has to be fully decentralized. So I think it's better to work towards some decentralization. There are some other things that require full decentralization, and that's something that we have to push for, but you don't get from a no to a yes without a maybe in between, right?
I love that. I think this is going to be the main attraction point of the episode. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Thanks a lot for coming on board and joining us. It was really cool to hear about different tips for marketers, and can't wait to see where Metis is in terms of growth in the year. I think it's going to be very noticeable.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Watch this space. Metis is going to be taking off. Thanks so much, Alex, for having me on the show.
yeah, of course. And for those of you still with us, please make sure to subscribe on newsletter. Mint our podcast. It's free to mint on pods.media. Guys, thank you all for listening to our mini cast. Please make sure to rate and subscribe to it wherever you're listening from. It helps Laura and I so much. Thank you again for your support. It means the world to us, and we'll see you in the next episode.